Hi YouTube! It is actually the next day from my previous video, but today I'm going to be going over to the office and hopefully figuring out how to print out some art prints that I designed that I'm wanting to get up at the beginning of October. Two of them are more kind of, I guess, Halloween oriented, not necessarily for Halloween, but I feel like people that are kind of into that aesthetic would like them. What? Sorry, my cat just came in. Right. Shush. I'm trying to film. Shush, shush, shush. Shush, shush, shush. But my other two are actually going to be the birth flowers for October because shush, because I'll pet her and then she won't be yelling. I'm gonna be doing the birth flowers for every month is one of the things I've decided as prints, because I feel like those will be kind of more universally popular than doing reptile prints. I do still want to do those probably at some point, but I figured starting off with birth month flowers is good. And most months actually have two birth month flowers. November only has one, and then is it May has three? But for the most part, the majority have two flowers. So I'll be having two art prints to make for each month. But I'm gonna start off with October because that is the month that we are, I guess, currently in. Because I'm dating this a little bit, but I believe it's the 2nd or 3rd today. So that's one of the reasons why I also want to get that figured out so that I can get them posted on Etsy very quickly. I was hoping to actually get them all done right at the end of September, but I had some stuff to do, so wasn't able to do that, but hopefully it's still early enough in the month that it makes sense to post those and I'll still get some sales of them. So I guess we shall go ahead and head on over to the office and start trying to figure that out. Hey. Yeah? I petted you enough? No? Okay. Let's go on over. Alright, I made it over to the office and I've already gone ahead and set up the printer and I have my laptop turned on, and I was going to show you guys the two prints that I'm going to start with today if I'm not able to get to the other two today. So I'm going to start with the ones that I said is a little bit more maybe Halloween vibes, because I do think that I'll have enough time in the coming days to get to the birth month flowers pretty quickly, so those will still be coming out fairly soon after these ones get posted. So I feel like they'll still have enough time to be on the shop and be getting sales or views on them. But let me go ahead and flip you guys around so I can show you the two designs that I did for this first kind of attempt at making prints. So let me go ahead and flip the camera. And these are what I'm going to be starting with. So this is my Death Head's Hawk Moth that I have a sticker of, and then I made this background for it, which is just like a skull, and then I kind of gave it Dia de los Muertos or sugar skull kind of vibes with just like some little dots here and there around it, and then pulling a little bit more from dark kind of Halloween-y stuff or witchy stuff maybe. I put some planchettes in the top corners here. They have some half moons on them and they're a little kind of glowy, and then I have just 3 little stars going on in the background at the bottom. I wanted the background to still have some good detail kind of going on, but I wanted the focus to be the moth. So I think that I was able to accomplish what I was wanting, and I wanted it to be dark, kind of playing into the dark aesthetic that kind of draws a lot to the Death Head moth, but then not be too dark where it doesn't maybe appeal to, I don't know, maybe people that are just looking for a nice Halloween kind of print, or they just really like the moth but they don't really want all like the really kind of edgy, I guess you could say, stuff. Because I also, when I designed this, I didn't fully like push the skull shape and everything on the moth necessarily, because that's not realistic. It's not literally a skull on their back, it's just a pattern that looks skull-esque. So I wanted the skull to be kind of in the background. So that's this one. And then my other one I did is my Luna moth, and this one I wanted its background to stay pretty bright, but it is the Luna moth, so it does kind of play into the starry kind of vibe. I did of course put a little moon in the corner, and then I have it kind of on a starry night kind of background, but I didn't want the full thing to be the starry background, and so I just did a little kind of peak hole almost that it's coming out of, and then I did kind of these almost cherry blossom like little flowers around, because I just thought that that would be pretty cute with the green moth. I've seen people kind of do, not a lot of people actually, but I saw somebody do a drawing of a Luna moth with a cherry blossom tree, and I thought it was really nice the way that it looked together. So I kind of just put those little simple flowers on either opposite corner of, well, ovals don't have corners, but you know what I mean, opposite top, opposite bottom, and then just some more little stars sprinkled in that corner so it doesn't feel empty down there. So that's our 2 prints for the day that I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do this Luna moth and this Death's Head Hawk moth. I've already adjusted the colors a little bit before we've even attempted to print over here, because I did print 1 or 2 kind of tests at my other house, and that printer just, I know it's not this printer, but it looked like I needed a little bit more contrast between the colors on that one, and I know that this one prints a lot more vibrant and vivid in its color, so I was worried that with how similar the colors were looking on that other printer, that meant that it was just going to look like all the same color on this printer over here. We were just gonna lose a lot, I feel like. So I did go ahead and kind of brighten some things up on here, push some things back. Same with the Luna Moth. I didn't have to do that quite as much on this one. So I'm hoping that it goes good in the fact that it won't take too many attempts to figure out how to print them out. But I'm gonna do, I might do this one first because I feel like it's not gonna take as many attempts. And on here, I'm actually gonna tell it, over here, I do have a cardstock. I'm gonna see how it comes out using the cardstock setting, the kind of default cardstock setting. And then the photo size, I'm gonna be printing them out as 8x10s because I feel like that's a good print size. So the paper size that I have is normal printer paper size 8.5 by 11, but I'm going to print the prints as 8x10s. So I hope that makes sense to people. But I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to start by trying the cardstock setting for my printer. I'm gonna tell it to print, and since it's doing from the manual feed, I actually have to go then click another button on my actual printer when it gets sent over there. So that also gives me time to come over here and let me get out a page. I'm just gonna do like one attempt at a time. I don't want to print out a whole, I don't want to print out a whole bunch of the same thing every time until we get the, there's a fly that came in my room and I haven't been able to kill him or shoo him away. But let's see. I want to see just how these settings work first. So I got my paper in. I'm going to click the button. It's going to be quite loud, so I will come back whenever we're done with our first attempt and it's time to look at how it's done on this one, and then we will try the same setting with the other one, which is our really dark one, and that will be kind of our like final test for if settings are correct for how I'm wanting to do the prints. So I'm going to start with this one and then try it with the other one, because I mean, if it's not good on this one, then we need to change the settings anyway. So I will click start and I will be back to you guys whenever our Luna Moth has been printed out. Okay, I moved our print over here because I have the bright light over here on so that we could see it a little bit better in some better lighting. It looks okay. The background, I feel like maybe I need to make the gradient a little bit more obvious if I do go with these settings. But let's also, how do I want to do this? I want to put it somewhere where we can kind of see how it would look like as a print standing up somewhere, or like if we had it hanging. Can I put it like, please? I need to be able to like stand somewhere, and I guess I can put it up here. my dad, he was on a trip, so when he came back, he decided he needed to scribble on my whiteboard. He likes to come and do things like that in my office. Okay, let's put it right here, I guess, maybe. And we'll stand back. So, let's see. I definitely think everything is standing out the way I'm wanting it to. I don't think we're getting lost with any of the detailing or anything. The moth color is good. I might push the gradient in the background more in the oval. But other than that, I feel like the colors are good. So I guess let us print out our death head moth and see how the colors look on it with these settings, and see if we need to do adjustments to the actual prints themselves, or if we need to do adjustments to the settings. So let's do the exact same thing, not photo paper. We're gonna tell it that we're doing cardstock, and we want it to be at 8 by 10. And we're gonna tell it to print. This one's really gonna be the kind of like the test to see how much adjusting we need to do. Printer ink is running low, I know. Let me come over here now. I grabbed up just a little stack of our cardstock paper, so I didn't have to keep grabbing from our tray at the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to click start, and again I will come back to you guys when it has printed out and we will assess. I have pulled our Death's Head Hawk Moth print off of the printer to again look at it over here in this light, and I feel like the background might still be a little dark. It kind of shows up okay on camera, but I feel like you kind of lose his antennas in person. But let's also, of course, again, look at it up this way as well. Let's see how I'm gonna do this. I wanna put it next to our Luna moth. Okay, there we go. See, I feel like I need to push that one more, or we need to change the settings, or I don't know. I feel like the moth itself looks good though, and the planchettes actually look very good. I like how they look. So I think that one I just need to go into the Photoshop file and adjust it that way maybe. And then the Luna moth is pretty close to how I want it to be. I might just go in and mess with pushing its gradient even more. So maybe let's go ahead and I will make those adjustments, and then we will print out some more tests, because, okay, if you take a really good look at our Death's Head Hawk Moth, really get it in your head how it's looking right now, print it out, okay? And then we come over to how it looks on the computer, you see the difference? The dots just, they're not showing up as well on the print. The skull itself isn't showing up quite as nicely. We're not getting a good enough contrast between the blue and the purple, I don't feel. And you can also see the antennas on the moth a lot better on the computer than on our print over here. It's just everything's dull in the background. So I think I'll just mess around with the Photoshop file and see how much of that I can get adjusted that way. And then if there's still some issues with that, we'll move on to maybe messing around with which of the settings might be best for printing out something that looks like this, where it's dark and on cardstock paper, because cardstock also absorbs ink differently than normal printer paper. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'll come back to you guys, because I don't really have a setup where I can record my screen easily on my laptop, unless I'm like pointing the camera at it, which is not a super good way to record. But basically I'm wanting, whenever we get it printed out correctly, it should look like how it looks right now on the computer, like this, but on the paper. So on the computer, it's going to end up looking a lot brighter than this currently. But then hopefully it will print out the right way I'm wanting it to. Yeah, I think that's what is going to happen. I'll just keep messing around with it. And I'll come back whenever I have a version that I'm wanting to test again on the cardstock paper. So that's what we're going to do next, is just mess around with the Death Head Hawk Moth, because I'm pretty sure the Luna Moth, I'm just going to make that quick adjustment on its gradient and it will be good. But the Hawk Moth, I need to put a little more thought into. So that's what we'll focus on. And then we'll do the adjustment to the Luna Moth once we have this one all figured out, because that one will be quick and easy. So I will be right back with our second attempt at our Hawk Moth. Okay, I've done some adjusting to our Death Head Hawk Moth. It might not be enough adjusting, because I felt like I was adjusting a lot when I was doing it, but now I'm looking at a side-by-side and it might be too subtle. But I'm probably gonna go ahead and print a version of this one just so I can see how it's looking, see if it's moving in the right direction, and we'll go from there. But I will show you guys a side-by-side that I'm looking at, and you can see and I guess decide for yourselves if you think it's gonna work or not. And I'll still go ahead and print it, and we'll see as a print if it works or not, if it's the way I want it to be, and if not, we will go from there. So let me go ahead and show you guys this side-by-side. Here is the side-by-side This is the one we just printed. This is the one that I've adjusted. They're still pretty similar. I guess I'm just hesitant to push it too much all at once and then have to pull back from that. But I guess doing it that way, there's not really that, you know, like that's not that big of a deal to do it that way. So I don't really know why I'm hesitating to do it that way. But I definitely feel like it's going to be moving in the right direction. So I'm going to print it out, like I said, and we'll see how it ends up looking. I feel like it's still going to be a little bit too dark. We'll still, I feel like, be losing some of the detailing that I'm trying to bring back into the skull and the dots and everything in the background. But I did brighten the skull up. I did brighten the dots up. I brightened up the purple around the edge. I put in a bit of a gradient outwards from the center. So this one actually has it as well, but you can't even really tell that it does. So this one, it's a lot more noticeable, the gradient. And I'm hoping that that helps also bring out the antenna some more for our moth. So let me go ahead and get this one printed out, and we'll do a side-by-side comparison of the actual prints whenever we have that one done. Okay, as you can see, I went ahead and I already put it up this way so we can see how it looks side by side, because I actually feel like we're getting really close already. I don't know. I don't think we're there yet, but I think we're a lot closer than we were with how I'm wanting it to look. So you might be able to tell this is the one we just printed out the first time. This is the new one. And I feel like I said, we're really close. I think the gradient's helping a lot in the background. I feel like the dots are right where I want them to be in their color. I'm not sure you can see the antenna quite as well as I'm wanting you to be able to see it. So I might still need to adjust the background color itself a little bit more. I feel like the purple edge is fairly close if it's not there yet. So I'm going to probably mess around a little bit more, because I feel like when you stand back, you lose the antennas still. Everything else you can still see very good. You can see the skull a lot better. You can still, I still think the planchettes are fine the way that they are. I don't want them to be overly in your face. But they do have that kind of, I don't know what I'm thinking of, not really necessarily like glowing kind of periwinkle purple that's going on with them, but like it's a high contrast between the dark, almost black planchette and its detailing, so that kind of really pops out. So even though the planchette is dark, and if you stand really far back you probably would lose it, you'd still be getting those little pops of detail up there. So I like that. Like I said, I think the dots are where I want them to be. I definitely don't want them to be any brighter anyway. They honestly might even be a little bit bright. But I kind of like that because they kind of match the vibe of the little stars now. And of course the little detailing with the planchette because that's the same color. So I think that's good. I think the gradient is the right strength for the skull in the background. I think I just need to mess around a little bit more maybe with the background colors, the purple and the blue, and then it might be good. But I need to replace my ink that had said it was running low because actually that was the last thing it could print out before it gave me the code saying that it was out of ink. So let me replace my magenta ink and then I will adjust the background color a little bit more and we will print again to see how it does. But this was our old very first one we did. This was the new one. And as you can see, the only one that I adjusted really was the purple between the two. So now I will go and I'll adjust the actual background blue and maybe adjust the purple a little bit more, or maybe not, depends. But I will come back with you guys. It seems like this might not be taking as many adjustments as I was thinking it would, but we'll see. Now that it's kind of smaller tweaks that I need to do, I might need to do a lot of small tweaks and just keep tweaking until we get to exactly how I want it to be. But we're very close. So let me go ahead and do my next set of adjustments and I will come back to you guys with our third attempt. Here is my third adjustments that I've done. You might be able to see I went ahead and, as I told you guys, brightened up the purple and brightened up the blue in the background. And because of that, it did make the skull just a little bit brighter, which is probably going to be fine. So I am going to go ahead and print this version out and we'll see how it looks from there. It still might be a little bit too subtle of changes, so we're just gonna have to keep kind of trial and erroring it until we get to the final one that we like. So I will go ahead and tell this to print out now that I have replaced my magenta and I will come back to you guys and we will look at how this one comes out. Here is our third attempt at our Death's Head Hawk Moth, and it shows up better on the camera than it does in person. The antennas are still just a little hard to see, which might be okay. I mean, if you stand really far back, yeah, you can't see them. But if you're like standing and you're looking, you can see them, but they're not as easily noticeable as I would want them to be. And so I'm wondering if what I should do is actually, for my print, make them a little bigger. The antennas themselves, make them a little bigger. I'm happy with the purple now. It might not be as easily noticeable to you guys that the purples are different, but they are different, and I feel like it's the purple that I'm wanting it to be. I could still change the background blue to be a little bit brighter, but I'm liking how the skull looks now, with how bright the background is or how dark it is. I have the skull as the overlay actually on the background, which, I mean, I could make some more adjustments to it if brightening up the background makes the skull then too bright itself. I can adjust my overlay on it so that it's not too bright. I don't know. Let me stand back here and look at it. I might make the skull a little less bright, like how it was in the one on the right. I don't know. I feel like it's really close. I'll probably end up asking my family how they're feeling about it. Get some second eyeballs on it, or second, third, fourth eyeballs, fifth, I don't know. We'll see how many people I ask. Get some more eyeballs on it than just mine, because after a while when you've been staring at something, then almost it's like you can't tell if it's good anymore or not good, which I run into this problem sometimes when I've been working on something for a really long time, and then I'm like, I don't even know if this is right anymore. Am I pushing it too much? Am I not pushing it enough? I don't know. I can't tell. So then it's second opinion times. So that might be what I do. But I'll go ahead and make my adjustments to my Luna Moth now. Because I feel like this one is so close, it might even be there. But I need to sit on it just for a couple minutes, come take another look, ask some people what they think. But I'll go ahead and make the adjustment I was wanting to make to the Luna Moth, which was really easy, which was just increase the gradient in the oval background. So I will do that and we'll print it out and we'll see how that looks, and then I'll let you guys know if this is the final one or if I'm gonna make a couple more adjustments on it. But let's go ahead and work on this Luna Moth because it's basically there. Just need to do the gradient one more time. All right, I did our simple gradient adjustment, and it might be a little bit subtle. You might not be able to tell a whole lot that I did it, but I think that it helps. You might be able to, well, you might be able to tell. This is the one with a brighter gradient. That's the older one. You kind of lose the outline a little bit on the moth when you step back. So maybe I don't need that. Maybe this is actually good. Yeah, I don't know. That might be good actually. I might make the gradient maybe a little bit bigger. But I don't think I need to make it brighter. I think actually that might be fine. So our Luna moth, actually, I think our Luna moth is good. Because I did that adjustment and I don't know, I don't feel like it's adding. I feel like it's taking away. And that's not what you want. You don't want it to take away, you want it to add. So I think it's good. Our Luna moth, I think, is done. Okay. Well, that was easy. Now I just need to decide on the death's head hawk moth. Let me go ask some opinions, and we'll see if we're done with that one or if there's any kind of minor changes I need to make, and we might end up making them and then decide, like the Luna moth, that it was not necessary. So let me go do that really quickly and I will come back with the verdict. All right, guys, we have made it to our final moth prints. I think these are how I want them to be. So I did go ahead and make 2 final adjustments, one on each one, and I'm going to turn you guys around and show you what they are and show you the final ones. I already have the 2 finals hung up. I've been looking at them. I think that this is the end result. This is what I want. So let me flip you guys around and I will show you what we ended up with. So let me go ahead, flip the camera, and here they are. These are going to be our final versions of our moth art prints today. So I said that I did 2 final adjustments. Technically, I guess I did 3, but the other one's kind of subtle. You might not even really see it, but on our death head moth, you might already see that I made the antennas a little bit thicker, and then I went ahead and actually matched them to the outline color because they were before the color of the body instead of the outline color. So I went ahead, and those are the 2 small adjustments on that one I did. And then actually on our Luna moth, there was, I guess, 2 more adjustments on that one. So actually there was 4 adjustments, but it's the one that's a little bit more subtle. So the biggest one that you can see that I adjusted is actually the little stars in the background. I made them slightly brighter so that you can see them a little bit better. And then the final adjustment, the 4th adjustment that you might not even really be able to tell, and it honestly might not have made that much of a difference, but it makes me feel better, is that I increased the gradient circle on it to be a little bit more of the the bright kind of comes out a little bit more into the darker part. So I just increased the gradient on that, which again, it might not really be that noticeable. You can definitely see it in the stars though. Like these stars out here are more of the periwinkle, whereas these stars up here are a lot more kind of lavendery. And up here you can see the transition from the lavender to the periwinkle a lot better in the stars. So it might not necessarily be noticeable in the actual background color itself that much, but you can definitely see it in the stars now that they're brighter. So I do like that a lot. I think that that really helped. Even though I feel like I probably could have still just went with this one. This is the OG original. You can't really tell that much that I increased the gradient size, honestly, but you can definitely tell. Ugh, that fly is still in here. You can definitely tell that the stars I just brightened up ever so slightly, and you can definitely see the gradient a lot better by the brighter stars. So I think that it helped in the long run. Even if it's not that noticeable, it makes my brain a lot happier. And here, I'll just hold this up really quickly so you can see the difference. There you go. You can see I made the antennas bigger, thicker, not necessarily any longer, just thicker. And then I darkened them up to be the same color as the outline, whereas on this one you can see it's the same color as the body instead of the outline. So on this one, same color as the outline and thicker, and I think that that helped a lot. So we ended up with our final versions of our prints, and here they are. I'm really happy with how they came out. I think that's actually so good. I'm so excited. This is probably gonna be the only print for now anyway that ends up having a full background color like that. Most of my other prints in the future are gonna be some kind of version of this, where it has kind of a shape in the background that it's then on top of, like the birth flowers. Whenever I do those next, which will probably be the very next video, because I do want to get those out fairly quickly, you'll see that they also are on a shape a little more ovular than this one. This one actually technically in Photoshop it's a rounded rectangle. Whereas what I'm going to be doing as the background for all of the birth flowers is actually a true oval. So you'll see that in the next video. This one, just because of what it was, I wanted it to have a full color background. I didn't want it to have white with it, because it's more of a dark aesthetic kind of piece. And this one, I wanted it to be a little more kind of elegant, a little more maybe feminine, kind of cutesy, even though actually technically the moon moth, I don't know if it's a family or a genus, or with all the moon moths in it, but actually, well, even really any moth, the ones that have the really long tails are the males. So this actually technically would be a male Luna moth, same as our Spanish moon moth, because it has the really long tails on its lower wings. That would be its male counterpart to the species. It's kind of like how birds, the brighter the bird is, the more color and vibrance that it has, that's the male. Like the peacock, the one you always think of, that's actually the male. And then there's the duller, more kind of like brown or more earthy toned female counterparts. The moths, there's not really that much of a difference, where it's like especially with the Luna moth, it's just the females don't have the tails. Same with the Spanish moon moth. But so that's kind of funny to me that I wanted this one to be a little more kind of whimsically elegant, kind of more kind of feminine, maybe. Definitely more, I don't know if cutesy is the word, but like it has the pink flowers on it. But it's a male moth. And then this one, of course, like I said, is a little more dark aesthetic, a little more maybe not necessarily goth vibe, but I didn't want it to have any white on its print, and that does take up a lot of ink, so I'm not necessarily wanting all of my prints to end up having a full background like that, but I just felt like this one needed it. So that was kind of my thought process on that. And not all of my prints are going to end up with same shapes in the backgrounds, and I'll probably have some more that have full backgrounds, but it's not going to be like all of my prints obviously have one or the other. Like not all of them are going to be shape, not all of them are going to be solid background, and not all of them are going to be the same shape or the same solid background. I'm doing backgrounds kind of catered towards what the focal point is, which you'll see in my birth flowers, kind of how I do them, how I'm thinking about doing those. At least they're all gonna have the same oval and the same background detailing, but then the backgrounds are gonna be specific colors for each, and I'll tell you more about that in the next video when we get to those. But these are gonna be our prints for the day, and I'm very happy with how they came out. They came out how I was hoping that they would, so that's always a good feeling whenever you're able to get it to be how you were picturing it in your head to look, and then it looks the way that you wanted it to. So I am going to actually now jump to our outro. I'm gonna decide whenever I have the birth flowers printed out if I'm going to cut them out. Like you see this one, it has a little bit of white around the edges. This one technically has a bigger border than it's supposed to be having as well. Or if I'm not going to do that and I'm just going to let the person, they would just end up needing to know that their frame would need to have a mat in it, or it would show the white around it like that. I don't know.
I'm trying to decide that. So for now, I'm gonna say that this is how they look, and then whenever I decide, I'll come back and either, well, if I decide that I should cut them out, I'll come back and cut these ones out. But let us go ahead and jump to our outro.
Okay, YouTube, that's gonna be the end of the video. I hope that you liked how the prints turned out today. I actually am very happy with how both of our moth prints came out, our Death's Head Hawk Moth and our Luna Moth. In the next video, as I've said already, I'm going to be doing our next two prints. I'm going to be doing the birth flowers for October, which actually, I guess I'll go ahead and tell you because I am excited to see how those end up being printed out. It is a marigold and a cosmos. Now, if you already know what those look like, then you kind of have an idea as to what to expect, but if you don't know what they look like, I hope that you're excited to see what they are and how they came out, or I guess you can Google what they look like in the meantime. But those are the two flowers of October, and I've already got them ready to go. I just need to go and do like we did today, print it out, see if there's anything I need to change, do adjustments if there is, print it out again, see if there's anything I need to change still, back and forth like that until we get exactly how I'm wanting it to be. And hopefully you guys agree with the final product. You think that I've made all of the right choices in my final tweaks of it, because I am very happy with how these prints came out, but I'm curious to see if you guys agree, or if they get any sales. I think that they will. I'm hoping that they will, obviously. But I feel like if I was looking for something like these, a lot of prints that I've looked at on Etsy end up looking not, I guess, I don't want to say that they all start looking the same, but they're all kind of similar aesthetics or similar styles, where, I mean, there's definitely some that like stand out as more unique or stylized or artistic. I'm not saying that the other ones aren't, but you do end up with kind of similar watercolor vibes or gouache vibes, or just very kind of clean, almost like clean girl aesthetic, if you know what I'm saying, which might be kind of that might be the audience for who likes specifically birth flower prints. But I know that I like looking to see if there's different styles out there. So I feel like my way of doing it is hopefully unique in a good way, and that it will appeal to people that maybe do want like the Luna Moth or a birth flower, or, you know, even like we did today, the Death's Head Hawk Moth, but isn't necessarily wanting the style that's kind of saturating the market right now. So we'll see, but I am excited to show you guys in the next video exactly how I've done the background for those flowers and of course how those flowers look. So if you want to come back and see how they look, don't forget to click the notification bell so that you get notified whenever I upload that video, and you can be one of the first people to come and see it. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you can continue on this journey with me of owning my Etsy shop and trying to get it traction, trying to get it going. It is over 100 sales, which I'm very happy about. That was a milestone goal that I had for myself for the end of the year, and we've already reached it, so I am happy about that, and just I'm excited to see which next milestone we can hit. And then of course feel free to leave a comment down in the comment sections below. You can leave anything down there really, as long as it's nice. And I will have my links in the description to my Etsy shop, of course, if you want to purchase any of my stickers or a print or just see what else is up on the shop. That will be down there. I have an Instagram where I do a little bit more of the behind the scenes kind of things and announcements of what is new on the shop. I have a TikTok where again I do announce new products, but I also do not boxing, packaging videos up on there, so you can see your order get packaged if you order something on my TikTok. And I have all those links in a LinkTree as well, which will be down in the description. I think that's all the YouTubey things, and if not, you're on YouTube, so you've probably heard it a million times by everybody. So if there's something I missed, that's okay. But I will see you guys in the next video to do those October birth flower prints with you guys. And I'm excited to do it. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye, YouTube!